At Sunday dinner, my daughter-in-law called me a freeloader. My son sat beside her and stayed quiet, but what I did next made their faces pale. The roast was still steaming when she said it. "You're just a freeloader here." The word landed heavy. Final. My fork slipped against the plate. Across from me, my son Daniel didn't flinch, didn't defend me, just stared into his wine glass like it could swallow the moment whole. I stayed quiet, not from weakness, but because silence has weight when wielded right. They mistook it for surrender. I laid my fork down gently. "Excuse me." I walked to the porch, pulled out the silver pocket watch my father gave me at 18. I'd carried it through the army, through decades of sacrifice to keep a roof over my family's heads. Now I stood on the porch of a house I built with my own hands, being called a freeloader in it. I thought back to when Daniel first brought Melissa home. Bright eyes, polite words, but cracks showed quickly. Comments about my old recliner, about how I watched the news too loudly, about utility bills skyrocketing since I moved in. Each word wasn't much alone, but strung together they made a noose. Inside I heard muffled laughter. They'd kept eating as though I were nothing more than an empty chair. I closed the pocket watch with a snap. Time had run its course for my patience. I walked to my study, opened the drawer, pulled out the folder I hadn't touched in years. Deeds, bank statements, contracts, all bearing my name, all proving I was far from the freeloader she painted me to be. The next morning, I called Greg, my lawyer friend from army days. "I need to ask about property law." I laid it all out. The house, the deed, the dinner insult. "The house is yours legally. If they're trying to mortgage it, they can't without your signature. You've got leverage." By afternoon, I'd signed the papers Greg prepared. Trust agreements, protective clauses. The house became untouchable. They could live in it, but control was mine, until I said otherwise. That evening, Daniel sat at the table, head in his hands. "Something had gone wrong. We talked to the bank," Daniel said. His voice faltered. "They said they need my signature," I supplied. Melissa's jaw tightened. "Yes, just a formality." I let the quiet stretch. "Is that what you told the banker? That the old man would roll over?" "Dad, it's not," Daniel started. "It is," I interrupted. "You wanted my silence to mean surrender. It doesn't. It means I've been watching, listening, preparing." "Preparing for what?" Melissa scoffed. I stood slowly. "For the day you learn this house doesn't belong to you. Not now, not ever." Over the next week, their plans unraveled. Bank denials, creditors calling, contractors backing out. Then Melissa's sister Evelyn showed up one Saturday. "I've been hearing things," she said, sitting across from me, "that you're a freeloader. But people in town say you're the one holding this house together." Melissa tried to shut her down, but Evelyn didn't budge. "The man who built this home isn't the kind to leech off anyone. You've been twisting the truth." Daniel shifted uncomfortably, unable to defend either of them. The final blow came when a foreclosure notice arrived. Melissa crumpled the paper, turned to me like a cornered animal. "You did this." "I didn't destroy anything," I said calmly. "I simply refused to give you the weapon to destroy yourselves." That afternoon, Greg arrived with one more folder. He laid it on the table, opening it deliberately. "These are the protections your father put in place. Legally, this house is his and untouchable." I pulled out the final envelope, slid it to Melissa. Inside was a letter, notarized, undeniable. The house and estate would not go to Daniel or Melissa, but to a charitable foundation for veterans' families. Melissa's breath caught. "You gave it away to strangers." "Not strangers," I corrected softly. "To people who understand sacrifice, to people who know the meaning of loyalty, something this house has forgotten." Daniel's face went white. "Dad, why?" I met his eyes. "Because you already made your choice. You let her voice become louder than your own. You forgot who I am, Daniel, and you forgot who you were raised to be." His shoulders shook. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "But sorry is a word that only holds weight if it's spoken before the damage is done." I picked up the pocket watch, slipping it back into my vest. "You thought my silence meant weakness, but silence gave me time. Time to prepare, time to protect, time to take back what was mine." I walked to the door, opened it wide. "This is my house. You may live here, but you will never own it. Not now, not ever." For the first time in months, neither of them had a word left.